I'm going to say this. So there's some people, when they are together, who make each other smarter. You bounce ideas off each other. There's some people that somehow, when they're together, the brain cells combine and they become dumber. We get these two people right here. Worthy's on the left, and Brady's on the right. He's dressed like a pirate. I don't know why, but we have free will, and that's a choice he made. And so they were in the Bahamas. They were at this hotel, and they said, "I got an idea." Immediately, off to a bad start. Worthy went up to Brady and said, "Hey, there's a koi pond at the front of the hotel." And the second he said that, I knew where this was going, because I actually had a friend in high school who had the brilliant idea of jumping in the Bass Pro fish tank. And if you don't know this, jumping in the Bass Pro fish tank is a felony. And my friend found out the hard way, even lost a scholarship to Texas Tech. So whenever he said he was jumping in the koi pond, that's exactly what my mind went to. So the first day, there's like 2 days left on the trip. The first time they do it, they jump in the koi pond, they try and catch a fish, nothing ends up happening. They walk away, everything's fine. And they were smart enough, again, the brilliance going on, they were smart enough to take a video. I don't know if it's playable, but it is.
Yeah.
Where you so hard oh my god, it's like this.
So that's them in the koi pond. They weren't able to catch a fish, and luckily they didn't get in trouble. 1 day left on the trip, and they decide just to take a walk outside. They're not thinking about jumping in the pond this time. And they're walking, and Brady says, "Worthy, wait, I see a fishing net." Both of them look at each other and get the dumbest idea ever. Again, they say, "It'd be so much easier to catch a koi fish this time." If you don't know, a koi fish is about $4,000 to $5,000 per fish. So they hop over the fence again, they jump in the pond, scoop up the fish, and Brady stands there and holds the fish, and he's smiling like he just caught the biggest thing ever. And they look over, and there's a security guard, slowly, not saying anything, lifting his phone, watching them. And they look over, and they lock eyes. And Worthy and Brady look at each other, and they, without even thinking, both at the same time say, "Run." And hotel's right there, beach is right there, security guard and another one is right there, and they sprint out to the beach, and to the right is this huge dock, so they can't run to the right. So the left, all of these two security guards come, and they try and corner them in, and it's about 11 o'clock at night, and they have nowhere to go. And so they go into the water and swim out into the ocean in the middle of the night. And the security guards freak out because it's not safe at all. And they see them like they're calling 2 lifeguards, and they hear them calling the cops, and they swim out, and the tide starts to take them super far to the left. And both of them are like, "We can't swim in, we're gonna get caught." And so they swim for 45 minutes down to the coast. And eventually they look at each other, and this is like 4 days ago. They look at each other, and they said, "It's been 45 minutes, we're probably fine, let's swim back in." And so after struggling to swim in, they swam back in, get to the shore, and they say, "We can't walk down the beach." And so they go to the road, they call an Uber, they Uber back to a block next to the hotel, because they don't want to go to the hotel, they don't want to get caught. And they don't go through the front, they run to the front of they run to the parking garage, they go up an elevator, they run into their room, it's 2 in the morning, and they're finally in the room, and they think they're safe. And they're like, "All right, we fly out tomorrow, we go, let's just go to bed, let's immediately go to the airport tomorrow, and we won't be in trouble." So that's their plan. But the problem was the security guard was filming them, so they know what they look like. So they're asleep, and at 5 in the morning, they hear a man walk up to their bed, push him on the shoulder, and say, "Are you Worthy Keith?" And he wakes up and he looks up, and it's this man dressed in all blue, and it was a police officer. And he said, "Meet me, you're following me, we're going downstairs into the lobby, And so they grab their ID, they grab their passport, they go downstairs, and they get handcuffed. And they're standing in the lobby, and the police said, so the fish that we caught a video of you grabbing yesterday actually died. And you have two options. You can either pay us $5,000 right now, or you could be in jail until Tuesday, which would have been tomorrow. So they'd still be in jail right now. And they don't have enough money on their car. They're gonna have to call their parents. They're freaking out. They're in the Bahamas. They have like all sorts of situations are going through their head. And no joke at all, there's this man who's standing in the lobby who's watching this all go down. And the man walks over and says, "Excuse me guys, what's the situation?" And they tell him what's happening. They said, "Well, these kids actually snuck into the koi pond and killed fish." And the man looks at them and he's like, "Is this true?" And the kids, Worthy and Brady, both say yes. And he says, "Well, so it's till Tuesday in jail and $4,000. And the cop says yes. And so he says, "Give me 1 second." He walks over, reaches into his backpack, grabs a pen, pulls out a check, writes $5,000 or $4,000 or whatever it was, hands it to the two boys and said, "Y'all are good to go." And then he just walks off. And they never see this man again. And so they do all this paperwork. They end up paying for the fish, and they go home, get on a plane that night, and nothing happens. They don't have to call their parents and tell them about it. One of them still hasn't told their parents what happened, so they have no idea. I'm sure we'll find out. But that's a true story from 4 days ago. But it got me thinking, how many of us, and yeah, we could bring that over there. It got me thinking, how many of us are in this situation of, don't put it over on that stage. And then, Catherine, you grab that bag over there. Bring it up. But it got me thinking, how many of us are in this situation where we feel like we're in the hotel lobby and we're in a position that there's nothing we can do on our own to get out of it. We're stuck, we're handcuffed behind our back, we're embarrassed, we're standing in front of everybody, and there's nothing we can do. How many of us feel like we're in that situation? It makes me think of a few more situations that are a little more raw, a little more real than that. Even though that's intense, that's a weight that they would have had to carry. So it got me thinking, how many of us are in this situation? We grab our bag, we put it around our shoulder, and we pick up these weights. And a lot of these weights are a little different than that. A lot of these weights could be, we've watched our parents go through a divorce, and we pick up that rock, and it's a weight. It could be a friend who betrayed you. It could just be the feeling of, I'm overlooked, or comparison to someone else, or the feeling of being unloved. It could be the feeling of being taken for granted. Maybe it's something you did. Maybe it's not even something that someone else did to you. It could be words spoken in anger to someone else that you still carry. Maybe you've been through abuse, physical, emotional, or verbal. Maybe it's a regret over a past decision. Maybe you had these high expectations for your life, and you didn't live up to them. It could be a suffering that feels unfair. It could be a missed opportunity or failure. It could be a loss of a loved one. All of these weights that we keep piling up. And it just gets heavier and heavier and heavier. And we don't want to tell anyone about it. We just carry the shame. We carry the weight until it builds 7 times? Jesus said to him, I do not say to you 7 times, but 77 times. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who wished to settle accounts with his servants. When he began to settle, one was brought to him who owed him 10,000 talents. And since he could not pay, his master ordered him to be sold with his wife and children and all that he had, and a payment to be made. And we can go to the next slide. So the servant fell on his knees, imploring him, Sir, have patience on me, and I will pay everything. And out of pity for him, the master of that servant released him and forgave him the debt. But when the same servant went out, he found one of his fellow servants who owed him 100 denarii. And seizing him, he began to choke him, saying, Pay what you owe. So his fellow servant fell down and pleaded with him, Have patience with me, and I will pay you. The man refused and went out and put him in prison until he should pay the debt. When his fellow servants saw what had taken place, they were greatly distressed, and they went and reported to their master all that had been taking place. Then his master summoned him and said to him, You wicked servant, I forgave you all of that debt of $10,000 because you pleaded with me. And should you not have mercy on your fellow servants who only owed either $100 or $10 as I had mercy on you? And in anger, his master delivered him to the jailers until he should pay all his debt. So also my heavenly Father will do to every one of you, if you do not forgive your brother or friend. So to sum that up, this man owed $10,000 and was forgiven his debt. It was a debt that nothing he could do would be able to release that weight, release that debt. And once he was set free, a man under him owed either it was $10 or $100, and he said he had no mercy on him. He didn't forgive him that debt. And that's pretty similar to what happens when we hold on to unforgiveness. Guys, we have been given the ultimate forgiveness from Jesus. I'm going to read something from Isaiah 53 in a second that is going to share that. We've been given the ultimate forgiveness. Every sin, every mistake we've made, every weight that we hold, for all of us, not just me, but everyone in this room, everyone in this world, and everyone who's ever lived, Jesus picked up that weight and said, I'm going to take that on the cross and I'm going to forgive you so that debt can be released. And a lot of times when we hold on to the unforgiveness and the weight of a lot of the things that I mentioned, it's almost like drinking a poison and expecting the person that it's like drinking a poison and expecting someone else to die from it. And it only takes a little bit of poison to kill you. I do not want you to live with that weight. I do not want you to carry that weight. And Jesus is here to offer us the chance to remove that weight that we're carrying. And he is the only one that can remove that debt. So I'm going to go to Isaiah 53. We can get that on the screen too. And it says this. It says, we just have Isaiah 53:6, but I'm going to read through all of it. It says, who has believed what we have heard, and to whom has the arm of the Lord been revealed? He grew up before him like a young plant, and like a root out of dry ground. He didn't have impressive form or majesty that we should look at him, no appearance that we should desire him. He was despised and rejected by men, a man of suffering who knew what sickness was. He was like someone people turned away from. He was despised and we didn't value him. Yet he himself bore our sickness. He came and he carried our pains that we're talking about. But we, in turn, regarded him stricken, struck down by God, and afflicted. But he was pierced because of our rebellion, crushed because of our iniquities, punished for our peace was on him. And we are not open his mouth like a lamb led to the slaughter, and like a sheep silent before his shears. He did not open his mouth. He was taken away because of the oppression and judgment. And who considered his fate? For he was cut off from the land of the living. He was struck because of my people's rebellion. He was assigned a grave with the wicked, but he was with the rich man at his death, because he had done no violence and not spoken deceit. Yet the Lord was pleased to crush him severely. When you make him a guilt offering, he will see his seed. He will prolong his days, and by his hand the Lord's pleasure will be accomplished. After his anguish, he will see the light and be satisfied. By his knowledge, my righteous servant will justify me. He will carry the iniquities. Therefore, I will give him the many as his portion. He will receive the mighty as a spoil, because he willingly submitted to death and was counted among the rebels. Yet he bore the sin of many and interceded for the rebels. So a lot of time we think of forgiveness as this thing that's almost unjust. Like, obviously, my friend who stole the fish and killed the fish, he deserved this punishment. But the forgiveness that Jesus talks about is not this unjust thing. It is Jesus who came down, who died on the cross, and said, all of this weight that you're carrying, I'm going to, in justice, put it on myself, so that if you choose, you do not have to carry that weight anymore. So God gives us this option to come up to him and say, all of this weight I'm carrying, the forgiveness, the unforgiveness I have for other people, the unforgiveness I have for myself, even the unforgiveness I have towards what has happened in my life, or maybe what God has done in my life. God says, I am willing to take all of that weight, and I'm willing to set it down and put it at the foot of the cross. And so, just a few quick things, and I'll end on this. Forgiveness, first of all, frees you. When you live in unforgiveness, you get stuck in the pain of unforgiveness. Forgiveness reflects Jesus. When we forgive, because we've been forgiven. You see the story of the man who was forgiven. You would think that when he was in the situation with the other servant, he would have wanted to forgive him because he knows how much he's been forgiven. And finally, forgiveness is about relationship. One of the biggest things that happens is Jesus went through all of this not just to say, I forgive you. You could go do whatever you want. He says, I forgive you because I want a relationship with you. He takes it a whole nother level. Imagine going to the point to where, I actually wasn't going to share this story, but I'm going to end on this. There's a lady, has anyone heard of Corrie ten Boom? A couple people. So there's this lady named Corrie ten Boom, and the SparkNotes version of this story is she and her entire family was put into Auschwitz, the concentration camp, and she ended up losing her entire family. Everyone was killed during that time, and somehow she made it through. And after she made it through, she started sharing about her experiences, and in those experiences, in the sharing, in the speaking, many people came to faith. But one day, she looked into the crowd, and in the middle of the crowd, she saw one of the guards who had killed some of her family members. And obviously, she was overwhelmed with emotion. But it got even more intense when the guard stood up, walked all the way down to the front, and got down on his knees and said, I know you remember me. I killed your family. But over the last couple years, I came to faith, and I understand if you never want to forgive me, but I want to ask for forgiveness. She said right there she had to make a decision, filled with emotion. She said, if I don't forgive this lady, then I can't go on preaching the gospel. Because as intense as this in this moment, she ended up forgiving the person who had killed her whole family. The story doesn't end there, it gets crazier than that. Normally, that's beyond crazy that that happened. And normally it would just stop there, like, okay, I forgive you, but I never want to see you again because you killed my whole family. In the long run, they ended up having a relationship with each other, not like a dating relationship, but just a friendship, where they would go around the world and they would share the gospel with each other. And they would share this story of how he had done all these things to her family, and then after the camp, they met up with each other and they forgave each other, and now they're going around the world sharing the gospel with each other, and they have this friendship with each other. That's what the gospel is like. We carry this weight, God frees us from the weight, and then at the end of all of it, we get to have a relationship with him. With Corrie ten Boom, there was forgiveness between her and the killer of her family. But so much redemption to where they had a relationship with each other. So, as I pray it out, I'll leave you with this thought. Jesus wants to free you from this weight, and he also wants to have a relationship.